Marcus Chen sat in the back row of his chemistry class, trying to stay invisible as usual. At 17, he had perfected the art of blending into classroom walls. His black hair fell across his eyes, hiding the strange golden flecks that seemed to glow when he was upset. Today felt different, though. The air tasted metallic and his chest burned with an odd warmth he couldn't explain. Mrs. Patterson droned on about molecular structures, while Marcus doodled dragons in his notebook margins. He had always been fascinated by the mythical creatures, drawing them since he was 5 years old. His foster parents thought it was just a phase, but Marcus felt a deep connection to these beings that never made sense to anyone, including himself. "Mr. Chen, are you paying attention?" Mrs. Patterson's sharp voice cut through his thoughts. Marcus looked up, feeling heat rise in his throat. "Yes, ma'am," he mumbled, but as he spoke, a small wisp of smoke escaped his lips. The classroom fell silent. 20 pairs of eyes stared at Marcus as another puff of smoke curled from his mouth. His chest felt like a furnace, and panic set in as he realized he couldn't control whatever was happening to him. "What the hell?" whispered Jake Morrison from the front row. Mrs. Patterson stepped back, her face pale. "Marcus, are you feeling all right?" Before Marcus could answer, flames erupted from his mouth in a brilliant orange stream. The fire lasted only seconds, but it was enough to send half the class screaming toward the door. The sprinkler system activated, drenching everyone as Marcus sat frozen in shock, wisps of smoke still rising from his nostrils. Principal Hayes burst through the door with 2 security guards. "Everyone out now." He pointed at Marcus. "You, stay right there." As students fled, Marcus caught glimpses of their faces. Fear, disgust, and something worse, fascination. Sarah Williams, who had never spoken to him before, stared with wide eyes before her friends dragged her away. Within minutes, the classroom was empty except for Marcus and the adults. Principal Hayes kept his distance while speaking into his radio. "We need EMTs and, I don't know, someone from the CDC maybe? We have a situation." Marcus wanted to explain that he felt fine, better than fine actually, but every time he opened his mouth, small flames flickered out. The burning sensation in his chest had become almost pleasant, like warming himself by a campfire from the inside. Dr. Elizabeth Reeves arrived 30 minutes later with a team of medical personnel. She was a tall woman with silver hair and kind eyes that reminded Marcus of his grandmother. Unlike everyone else, she didn't seem afraid as she approached him. "Hello, Marcus. I'm Dr. Reeves. Can you tell me how you're feeling?" Confused, Marcus managed, grateful when only words came out this time. "I don't understand what's happening to me." Dr. Reeves nodded and pulled out a small device that beeped when she pointed it at him. Her eyebrows raised slightly at whatever reading she got. "Marcus, I need you to come with me. There are some tests we need to run." "Am I sick?" Marcus asked, though he felt healthier than ever. "No, son. I don't think you're sick at all." Dr. Reeves exchanged a meaningful look with Principal Hayes. "But there are people who need to meet you, people who can explain things." As they led Marcus from the school, he noticed students and teachers watching from windows. News vans were already pulling into the parking lot. His phone buzzed with dozens of messages and missed calls, but Dr. Reeves gently took it from him. "You won't need that for a while," she said softly. The ride to the medical facility was quiet except for the gentle humming of equipment in the ambulance. Marcus stared out the window at the familiar streets of his hometown, wondering if he would ever see them again. Everything felt surreal, like he was watching someone else's life unfold. At the facility, Dr. Reeves led him through a series of corridors that looked more like a research center than a hospital. Scientists in lab coats watched him pass, some making notes on tablets, others whispering excitedly to each other. "Dr. Reeves," Marcus said as they walked. "Am I the first person this has happened to?" She paused at a set of double doors marked, "Authorized personnel only." "You're the first human we've encountered with these particular abilities. But Marcus, I need you to prepare yourself for what you're about to learn. Your life is going to change in ways you can't imagine." They entered a large room filled with monitoring equipment. Comfortable chairs surrounded a central area where Marcus was asked to sit. Dr. Reeves attached various sensors to his arms and chest while other scientists prepared their instruments. "I want you to try to breathe fire again," Dr. Reeves said. "Don't be afraid. We need to understand what's happening." Marcus closed his eyes and focused on the warm feeling in his chest. It responded immediately, growing stronger until flames poured from his mouth in a controlled stream. The fire was beautiful, dancing in shades of orange and gold that seemed almost alive. The equipment around the room went crazy, beeping and flashing as it recorded readings none of them had seen before. Dr. Reeves stared at her tablet with amazement. "Incredible," she whispered. "Marcus, your cellular structure is changing. Your DNA is evolving. Into what?" Marcus asked, though part of him already knew the answer. Before Dr. Reeves could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Red lights flashed as automated voices announced a security breach. Through the room's large windows, Marcus saw something that made his heart stop. Dragons. Real dragons were circling the building. They were magnificent creatures, their scales shimmering in colors Marcus had only dreamed of. The largest one, a deep emerald green with golden eyes, landed on the roof directly above them. Its voice echoed through the building, speaking in a language Marcus somehow understood despite never hearing it before. "We have come for the young one, the human child who carries the ancient fire. He belongs with us now." Dr. Reeves grabbed Marcus's arm. "We need to get you out of here." But Marcus was already standing, his eyes fixed on the dragon above. The warmth in his chest had become a roaring fire, calling to something deep in his soul. For the first time in his life, he felt like he was exactly where he belonged. "No," he said quietly, flames dancing around his words. "I think they're here to take me home." The building shook as more dragons landed around the medical facility. Marcus pressed his face against the window, counting at least 12 magnificent creatures surrounding them. Each dragon was unique in color and size, but all shared the same ancient intelligence in their eyes that made Marcus feel small and significant at the same time. Dr. Reeves was speaking rapidly into her headset while security personnel flooded the hallways outside. "We need immediate evacuation protocols. No, don't engage them. I repeat, do not engage the entities." The emerald dragon on the roof lowered its massive head until it was level with the window. Its golden eyes locked onto Marcus, and suddenly he could hear its voice clearly in his mind. "Young fire-bearer, you have awakened at last. We are the Dracani, guardians of the flame that burns within you. You are our lost child. Return to us after centuries of waiting." Marcus stepped closer to the window, ignoring Dr. Reeves's protests. "You're talking to me?" "In my head, as it should be. You carry our blood, our fire, our legacy. The humans who raised you could never understand what you truly are." Dr. Reeves grabbed Marcus's shoulder. "Marcus, don't listen to it. We don't know what these creatures want." But Marcus was transfixed. The dragon's mental voice was warm and familiar, like a half-remembered lullaby from childhood. "What am I? What's happening to me? You are Dracani as we are, born in human form but carrying the soul of a dragon. It happens perhaps once in 1,000 years when our two species briefly merge. You have reached the age of awakening, when the dragon within you stirs to life." The facility's windows began to vibrate as the dragons outside started humming in unison. The sound was hauntingly beautiful, resonating through Marcus's bones and making the fire in his chest pulse in rhythm. "We must take you to the sanctum," the dragon continued. "There you will learn to control your gifts, to understand your heritage. The human world cannot teach you what you need to know." "Wait," Marcus said aloud, causing Dr. Reeves to look at him strangely. "I can't just leave. I have a life here, people who care about me." The dragon's eyes softened with something like compassion. "Child, look around you. Your people flee in terror from what you are becoming. They will study you, cage you, try to duplicate your gifts for their wars. Is that the life you wish?" Marcus glanced at Dr. Reeves, who was still frantically coordinating with security. She caught his look and forced a smile, but he could see the fear beneath it. Even she, who had been kind to him, saw him as a specimen to be analyzed. Military vehicles were arriving outside, soldiers setting up a perimeter around the building. Helicopters circled overhead, keeping a careful distance from the dragons but clearly preparing for conflict. "They will try to harm us to keep you," the dragon observed. "We do not wish to hurt your people, but we will not leave without you." General Morrison, Jake's father, Marcus realized, was shouting orders through a megaphone. "This is the United States military. You are in violation of our airspace. Release the boy and withdraw immediately." The largest dragon, a magnificent creature with scales like molten silver, raised its head and spoke in a voice that carried across the entire facility. The words were in the ancient dragon tongue, but somehow everyone present understood them. "We claim what is ours by right of blood and fire. The young one belongs with his true people. Interfere and face the consequences. Marcus felt torn between two worlds. The human world that had raised him but never truly accepted him, and this dragon realm that called to something deep in his soul. As if sensing his conflict, the Emerald Dragon spoke gently in his mind. We do not ask you to abandon all of humanity, young one. Many of our kind have learned to walk between worlds. But first you must understand what you are. Without proper training, your fire will consume you from within. To demonstrate this point, Marcus felt the heat in his chest suddenly spike. Flames erupted from his mouth involuntarily. Much larger than before. The fire was getting stronger, harder to control. Dr. Reeves jumped back as the heat sensors around the room started screaming warnings. You see? The dragon said. Your human body was not designed to contain dragon fire. Without our guidance, you will burn yourself alive within days. Dr. Reeves was studying her readings with growing alarm. Marcus, your internal temperature is rising rapidly. We need to get you to a cooling chamber immediately. But Marcus knew that human medicine couldn't help him now. The fire inside him was magical, ancient, beyond anything earth science could understand. He looked out at the dragons, waiting patiently despite the military forces gathering around them. If I go with you, he said to the Emerald Dragon, will I ever be able to come back? The choice will always be yours. But know this, you are the first human-born Draconi in 800 years. Your existence bridges our two species in ways that could change both our futures. The military was setting up larger weapons now, missile launchers and electromagnetic cannons designed for air defense. The dragons watched these preparations with mild interest, apparently unconcerned by the threat. General Morrison, the Silver Dragon called out, your weapons cannot harm us, but they can destroy this building and everyone inside it. Is the boy's freedom worth so many human lives? Marcus made his decision. He turned to Dr. Reeves, who had been watching the exchange with growing understanding. They're not kidnapping me, he said. They're trying to save my life. Dr. Reeves looked at her instruments, then at Marcus's face, and slowly nodded. The readings support that. Your biology is changing too rapidly for us to help you. But Marcus, if you go with them, promise me you'll remember where you came from. I will, Marcus said, meaning it. He walked to the window and placed his palm against the glass. The Emerald Dragon touched the window from the other side with one massive claw. The connection sent warmth through Marcus's entire body. And for the first time since the fire started, he felt truly in control. Are you ready, young fire-bearer? Marcus looked back at Dr. Reeves one last time. Tell my foster parents I'm okay. Tell them I'm finally going to understand who I really am. The window dissolved at the dragon's touch, not breaking but simply fading away like mist. The Emerald Dragon extended its wing toward Marcus like a bridge. Come, child of two worlds. Your education begins now. Marcus stepped onto the wing and felt the ancient magic coursing through the dragon's scales. As they rose into the sky, he looked down at the humans below, some afraid, some angry, but a few looking up with wonder. Among them, he spotted Sarah Williams from his chemistry class, standing apart from the crowd with her hand shading her eyes. She was smiling. Flying on dragonback was nothing like Marcus had imagined in his childhood fantasies. The sensation was overwhelming. Wind rushing past his face, the powerful rhythm of massive wings beneath him, and the ground falling away until buildings looked like toys. The Emerald Dragon's scales were warm against his palms, and he could feel the ancient creature's heartbeat through his legs. Hold tight, young one. We must travel far and quickly. Your transformation accelerates with each passing hour. Marcus looked back to see the military helicopters attempting to follow, but they were already falling behind. The dragons flew faster than anything human technology could match, their movements graceful and efficient in ways that defied physics. Where are we going? Marcus asked, his voice whipped away by the wind, but somehow still reaching his companion. To the nexus point, where your world and ours intersect. There lies the sanctum of First Flame, where all dragonborn learn to master their gifts. As they flew higher, Marcus noticed the air shimmering around them like heat waves. Reality seemed to bend and twist, and suddenly they were no longer flying over the familiar landscape of his home state. Below stretched an alien vista of crystalline mountains and silver forests that sparkled in the light of two suns. Welcome to Draconis, the hidden realm that exists alongside your Earth, the Emerald Dragon explained. Here, magic and science dance together in harmony. The other dragons spread out in formation around them, each carrying objects Marcus hadn't noticed before. Some bore riders, beings that looked almost human but with scales along their arms and fire in their eyes. Others carried strange devices that hummed with energy. "Those are our ambassadors," the dragon said, noticing Marcus's curiosity. "Dragon-born like yourself who have learned to walk between worlds. They monitor both realms, maintaining the balance that keeps our people safe." As they approached the sanctum, Marcus gasped. The structure was massive, carved into a mountain that rose from a lake of liquid silver. Terraces and platforms jutted from the mountainside, connected by bridges that seemed to be made of crystallized fire. Dragons of every size and color perched on various levels, while human-like figures moved among them. "It's beautiful," Marcus whispered. "It is home," the dragon replied simply, "as it will be for you, should you choose to accept what you are becoming." They landed on a broad platform near the middle of the structure. As Marcus slid down from the dragon's back, his legs shook from the incredible journey. The platform was warm beneath his feet, and he realized it was made from the same crystallized fire as the bridges. An elderly woman approached them, but Marcus could immediately tell she wasn't entirely human. Her eyes held the same ancient intelligence as the dragon's, and when she smiled, he glimpsed fangs among her teeth. "Welcome, Marcus Chen," she said in a voice that carried the weight of centuries. "I am Elder Nira, first keeper of the flame. We have been waiting for you for a very long time. How do you know my name?" Marcus asked. "We have been watching your world since the day you were born. When a human child shows the signs of dragon heritage, we take notice. Your drawings, your dreams of flight, your ability to withstand heat that would burn others. All these things marked you as one of ours." Elder Nira gestured for him to follow her into the mountain. The corridors inside were lit by flames that burned without fuel, dancing in the air like living things. Other dragonborn nodded respectfully as they passed, and Marcus was struck by their diversity. Some looked almost entirely human except for their eyes, while others had scales covering parts of their bodies or small horns emerging from their foreheads. The transformation manifests differently in each individual, Elder Nira explained. Some become more dragon than human, others maintain their human appearance while gaining our abilities. You will find your own unique path. They entered a vast circular chamber with a pool of liquid fire at its center. The walls were covered in murals depicting the history of both dragons and humans, showing times of cooperation and conflict throughout the ages. "This is the heart chamber," Elder Nira said. "Here, you will learn to control the fire within you before it consumes you entirely." As if summoned by her words, Marcus felt the heat in his chest spike again. Flames erupted from his mouth, larger and hotter than ever before. This time, however, Elder Nira simply raised her hand and the fire was drawn toward her palm, where it danced harmlessly. "Your control is instinctive but untrained," she observed. "Like a child wielding a sword? Dangerous to yourself and others." A young man approached them, appearing to be in his early 20s with sandy hair and scales that glittered along his jaw. "Elder Nira, is this the one from Earth?" "Marcus, meet Kai Thornfield. He was born in your world 20 years ago and has been training here ever since. He will be your mentor and guide." Kai extended his hand with a friendly smile. "Welcome to the club. Population extremely small and getting smaller every generation." Marcus shook his hand, surprised by how warm Kai's skin was. "Are there many of us? Dragonborn, I mean?" "About 50 active ones across both realms," Kai replied. "We're not exactly common. Most humans who carry dragon blood never awaken to it. You're special, Marcus." Elder Nira led them to a smaller chamber where cushions surrounded another pool of flame. "Your first lesson begins now. Sit by the fire and empty your mind. Feel the flame within you, but do not try to control it. Simply observe." Marcus sat cross-legged on a cushion, the liquid fire casting dancing shadows on the walls. As he focused inward, he became aware of the fire in his chest as a living thing, pulsing with its own rhythm and desires. "Good." Elder Nira's voice seemed to come from far away. "Now understand that this fire is not yours to command. You are its partner, its vessel, its friend. Respect it, and it will respect you." The fire inside him seemed to respond to this approach, becoming calmer and more controlled. When Marcus opened his eyes, small flames were dancing around his fingers like fireflies. "Excellent," Kai said. "It took me weeks to achieve that level of harmony." "The human mind adapts quickly when it accepts rather than fights," Elder Nira noted. "Marcus, you have a natural affinity for balance. This is why the dragons chose to reveal themselves for you." "What do you mean?" Marcus asked. the flames continuing to dance around his hands. "We have not openly contacted the human world in over 2 centuries," Elder Nira explained. "The risk of war, of misunderstanding, has always been too great. But your emergence changed the calculations. You represent the possibility of a new relationship between our peoples." Through the chamber's crystal windows, Marcus could see dragons and dragonborn working together on various projects. Some were tending to gardens that grew impossible plants. Others were crafting devices that blended magic and technology in ways that defied explanation. "What kind of relationship?" Marcus asked. "One where both species benefit," Elder Nira said. "Dragons possess ancient knowledge and magical abilities that could help humanity solve many of its problems. Humans have technological innovations and perspectives that fascinate our kind. Together we could accomplish things neither could achieve alone. But there are those on both sides who fear such cooperation," Kai added seriously. "Some dragons believe humans are too aggressive and short-sighted to be trusted. Some humans will see us as threats to be eliminated or weapons to be captured." Marcus thought about the military forces that had surrounded the medical facility, their weapons trained on the dragons. "So what's my role in all this?" "That depends on what you choose to become," Elder Nira said. "You could remain here mastering your abilities and living as one of the Dragonborn. Or you could return to Earth as an ambassador, helping to bridge the gap between our worlds. Or you could find an entirely different path that we haven't imagined yet." The flames around Marcus's fingers pulsed brighter as he considered the possibilities. For the first time in his life, he felt like he truly belonged somewhere. But he also remembered the look in Sarah Williams's eyes as he flew away. Not fear, but wonder. "I want to learn everything," he said finally. "About being Dragonborn, about your history, about what I can become. But I also want to go back to Earth. There are people there who need to understand that we're not monsters." Elder Nira smiled, and for a moment her own dragon nature showed through, scales shimmering along her cheekbones, eyes glowing with inner fire. "Then your true education begins now." Marcus's training began before dawn on his second day in the sanctum. Kai led him through winding corridors to a vast cavern where dozens of Dragonborn practiced their abilities. Some were breathing controlled streams of fire, others were levitating objects with focused concentration, and a few were actually shape-shifting between human and partial dragon forms. "The first thing you need to understand," Kai explained as they found an empty practice area, "is that being Dragonborn isn't just about breathing fire. We have enhanced strength, accelerated healing, telepathic abilities with true dragons, and most importantly, we can see magic itself." "See magic?" Marcus asked, stretching as Kai had shown him. "Close your eyes and extend your senses. Don't look with your eyes, look with your inner fire." Marcus closed his eyes and focused on the warm feeling in his chest. Gradually, the world around him began to glow with threads of colored light. The Dragonborn practitioners were surrounded by auras of gold and red, while streams of blue energy flowed through the crystalline walls of the cavern. "Those are the magical currents that flow through everything," Kai said, his own aura particularly bright. "Dragons naturally manipulate these currents. As Dragonborn, we can learn to do the same." A young woman with silver scales along her arms approached them. "Is this the Earthborn everyone's talking about?" "Marcus, meet Zara. She's from your world too, found in London about 5 years ago." Kai made the introduction while continuing to monitor Marcus's magical sight exercises. Zara studied Marcus with intense green eyes. "You're causing quite a stir. Half the council thinks you're a sign of a new age. The other half thinks you're a security risk." "Council?" Marcus asked, opening his eyes and losing the magical sight. "The Dragon Council governs both realms," Zara explained. 12 ancient dragons and 12 Dragonborn representatives. They're debating what to do about your very public awakening." Before Marcus could ask more questions, the cavern fell silent. A massive shadow passed over the crystal skylights above, and then the most magnificent dragon Marcus had ever seen landed on the practice floor. This dragon was pure black with scales that seemed to absorb light, and its eyes were like looking into deep space filled with stars. "Valdris the Void Walker," Kai whispered. "Elder of the council." The great dragon lowered its head to examine Marcus closely. When it spoke, its voice echoed in the minds of everyone present. "So, you are the child who has exposed our existence to millions of humans in a single moment." Marcus stepped forward, refusing to be intimidated despite the dragon's overwhelming presence. I didn't choose for that to happen. I didn't even know what I was. And yet the consequences remain. Human military forces are mobilizing. Their scientists are analyzing the footage. Fear and wonder war in their hearts. Valdris's star-filled eyes seemed to see straight through Marcus. Tell me, young firebearer, what would you have us do now? Stop hiding, Marcus said immediately, surprising himself with his certainty.
If they're going to find out anyway, wouldn't it be better to control how they learn about you?
Valdris tilted his massive head thoughtfully. You would have us reveal ourselves completely? Risk war between our species? I think the risk is greater if you stay hidden, Marcus replied. Humans fear the unknown more than the understood. Right now you're monsters from their nightmares, but if they knew the truth about Dragonborn, about people like me who bridge both worlds. The boy speaks wisdom. Elder Nyra's voice came from the cavern entrance. She approached with several other council members, both dragon and dragonborn. Perhaps it is time for a different approach. A golden dragon with ancient scars across its snout spoke next. The last time we revealed ourselves openly, humans tried to hunt us to extinction. What makes this era different? Because this time we have mediators, Marcus said, gesturing to the dragonborn around him. People who understand both worlds. We can show them that coexistence is possible. Counselor Thorn, a dragonborn man with silver hair and gold eyes, stepped forward. The human governments are already reaching out through diplomatic channels. They want to negotiate, not fight. Some of them do, corrected Counselor Drake, whose dragon heritage was more visible in her elongated features and scaled skin. Others are preparing for war. Their military capabilities have grown considerably since our last contact. Valdris spread his enormous wings, casting shadows across the entire cavern. And what of you, Marcus Chen? Are you prepared for the responsibility you are suggesting? To be a bridge between worlds means belonging fully to neither. Marcus felt the weight of hundreds of eyes upon him. Dragons, dragonborn, and other magical beings who had gathered to hear this conversation. The fire in his chest pulsed steadily, no longer painful but comforting like a heartbeat. I've never fully belonged anywhere, he said quietly. Growing up human but different, never understanding why. Maybe being caught between worlds is exactly where I'm supposed to be. Elder Nyra smiled proudly. There is ancient wisdom in the boy's words. The prophecies speak of a time when the barriers between realms would thin, when a child of both worlds would arise to guide the way forward. Prophecies are notoriously unreliable, Valdris rumbled, but there was amusement in his mental tone. However, practical necessity may force our hand regardless. Marcus, if you are to serve as an ambassador, you must first complete your training, not just in controlling your abilities, but in understanding our history, our culture, our deepest secrets. How long will that take? Marcus asked. Time flows differently here, Kai explained. A year in the sanctum equals perhaps a month on Earth. You can learn everything you need without losing too much time in your original world. Zara nodded agreement. Plus, the human governments need time to process what they've witnessed. Better to return when emotions have cooled and logical thinking prevails. Valdris looked around at the assembled council members. Are we in agreement? Shall we prepare young Marcus as our first official ambassador to the human realm? The vote was swift and unanimous. Even the most cautious council members recognized that hiding was no longer an option. Then let us begin in earnest, Elder Nyra declared. Marcus, your real education starts now. You will learn our language, our customs, our magical arts, and our history. You will train with our greatest warriors and study with our wisest scholars. And when you return to Earth, you will carry with you the hopes of both our species. As the council dispersed and the cavern returned to normal training activities, Marcus felt both excited and terrified. The weight of responsibility was enormous, but for the first time in his life he had a clear purpose. Don't worry, Kai said, clapping him on the shoulder. You won't be alone in this. Several of us will return with you when the time comes. Plus, Zara added with a grin, you've got something none of us had when we started. What's that? You've already proven you can inspire wonder instead of fear. That footage of you breathing fire? It's become the most watched video in human history. And the comments aren't all negative. A lot of people are calling you amazing, magical, beautiful. Marcus remembered Sarah Williams's expression as he flew away. Maybe Zara was right. Maybe humanity was ready for magic to return to the world. All right, he said, flames dancing around his fingers as his confidence grew. Let's get started. 3 months passed in the sanctum. though Marcus knew it had been only a few weeks on Earth. His transformation was remarkable, not just physically but mentally and spiritually. He could now control his fire with precision, communicate telepathically with true dragons, and see the magical currents that flowed through all living things. His human appearance remained mostly unchanged, except for golden flecks in his eyes that now glowed noticeably in dim light, and an increased resistance to cold that made him comfortable in temperatures that would freeze most people. More importantly, he had learned to shift partially into dragon form, sprouting scales along his arms for protection, enhancing his strength or growing small wings for short flights. "Your progress is unprecedented," Elder Nyra told him as they stood on one of the sanctum's highest terraces, watching young dragons learn to fly in the distance. "Most dragonborn take years to achieve what you've mastered in months." "Maybe it's because I need to learn quickly," Marcus replied, practicing his levitation skills by keeping a small sphere of liquid fire floating between his palms. "Every day we wait, the situation on Earth gets more complicated." Kai approached them with news from the human world. As one of the most experienced Earthborn, he maintained regular contact with both realms through magical communication devices. "The United Nations has formed a special committee to address what they're calling the dragon phenomenon," Kai reported. "They're demanding formal contact, but they're also building new weapon systems designed specifically for fighting large flying creatures." "Typical human response," Zara muttered, joining their group. "Prepare for diplomacy while simultaneously preparing for war." "It's not entirely unreasonable," Marcus defended. "From their perspective, powerful unknown entities suddenly appeared and took one of their citizens. They have no way of knowing our intentions, which is why we need to make contact soon," Elder Nyra said, "before fear overrides reason on both sides." Valdris landed on the terrace with several other council members. "Marcus, it is time for your final test. If you pass, you will be recognized as a full ambassador of the Dragon Realm." "What kind of test?" Marcus asked, though he suspected he already knew. "You must prove you can maintain your human identity while embracing your dragon nature," Valdris explained. "Many dragonborn lose themselves in the transformation, becoming more dragon than human. Others reject their dragon side entirely. An ambassador must be truly balanced." They led Marcus to a chamber he had never seen before, deep in the heart of the mountain. The walls were covered in mirrors made from crystallized dragon scales, each one reflecting not just his physical appearance, but his magical aura as well. "Stand in the center," Elder Nyra instructed. "We will subject you to the full power of dragon transformation magic. You must maintain your sense of self while allowing the change to flow through you." Marcus took his position as the council members arranged themselves in a circle around him. When they began to chant in the ancient dragon language, power flowed through the chamber like a river of liquid fire. The magic hit Marcus like a tidal wave. His body began changing rapidly, scales spreading across his skin, his size increasing, wings bursting from his shoulder blades. For a terrifying moment, he felt his human consciousness being overwhelmed by ancient dragon instincts. The urge to dominate, to hoard, to see all other beings as either threats or servants. But then he remembered Sarah Williams's smile, Dr. Reeves's kindness, his foster parents' love despite their confusion. He thought about all the humans who had watched the footage of his awakening with wonder rather than fear. He was not just a dragon. He was also human, and that humanity was not a weakness to be overcome but a strength to be cherished. The transformation stabilized. Marcus found himself in a form that was neither fully human nor fully dragon, but something entirely new. He stood 7 feet tall with iridescent scales covering parts of his body. Functional wings enhanced strength and senses, but retained his human features and consciousness. "Remarkable," Valdris said, his mental voice filled with approval. "You have achieved something we thought impossible, a perfect balance between both natures." Marcus looked at his reflection in the crystal mirrors and smiled. "I look like something out of a comic book." "You look like hope," Elder Nyra corrected. "You are living proof that our species can coexist and even merge their best qualities." As the magical pressure in the chamber subsided, Marcus felt his form shifting back to mostly human appearance, though he retained the ability to call upon his dragon aspects at will. "There is one more thing you must learn before you can serve as ambassador," Valdris continued. "The true history of dragon-human relations. Some of it is not pleasant, but you must understand the full context of what you're trying to achieve. They moved to the Hall of Memory, where crystalline formations stored the experiences and knowledge of thousands of years. By touching specific crystals, Marcus could experience historical events as if he had been present for them. He witnessed the ancient alliance between early humans and dragons, when both species worked together to battle cosmic threats. He saw the gradual breakdown of trust as human civilizations grew more aggressive and dragons more isolated. He experienced the dragon wars of the medieval period, when misunderstanding and fear led to centuries of conflict. Most painfully, he lived through the Great Betrayal of 1823, when human dragon hunters used captured dragonborn as bait to locate and destroy entire dragon families. It was after this tragedy that dragons withdrew completely from the human world, hiding in pocket dimensions like Draconis. Now you understand why many of our kind are reluctant to trust humans again, Valdris said as Marcus recovered from the intense historical visions. But I also see why we have to try, Marcus replied. The problems both our worlds face now are bigger than anything either species has dealt with before. Climate change, resource depletion, the threat of technological warfare. We need each other. And what makes you think this time will be different? Asked Counselor Thorne. Marcus thought carefully before answering. Because now we have people like me, Dragonborn, who truly understand both sides. We can prevent the misunderstandings that led to war before. We can be living proof that cooperation is possible. The council exchanged meaningful looks. Very well, Valdris said finally. You have passed all our tests. Marcus Chen, we name you first ambassador of the Dragon Realm to the human world. You will carry our hopes and our trust back to Earth. Elder Nira stepped forward with an ornate pendant made from crystallized dragon fire. This will allow you to communicate with us across the dimensional barrier. It will also serve as proof of your authority to speak for our people. When do I leave? Marcus asked, accepting the pendant. Tomorrow, Kai said. I'll be accompanying you, along with Zara and 3 others. The human governments have agreed to a formal meeting at a neutral location. Where? The United Nations building in New York, Zara replied with a grin. Apparently they want to make quite a show of it. The meeting will be broadcast live to the entire world. Marcus felt a mixture of excitement and terror. In less than 24 hours, he would be standing before representatives of all human nations, trying to prevent a war between species while bridging 2 completely different worlds. No pressure, he muttered, which earned chuckles from his companions. You will not be alone, Valdris assured him. The wisdom of both worlds goes with you. And Marcus? Yes? Remember that you are not trying to make humans into dragons or dragons into humans. You are showing both sides that they can remain true to themselves while working together. That is the greatest magic of all. As Marcus prepared for sleep on his last night in the sanctum, he looked out at the 2 suns setting over the crystal mountains of Draconis. Tomorrow he would return to a world of 1 sun, but hopefully he could bring some of this realm's wonder with him. The fire in his chest pulsed warmly, no longer a source of confusion or fear, but a bridge between worlds and a symbol of possibilities yet to be discovered. The return to Earth was unlike Marcus's first journey between worlds. This time, he traveled through a formal dimensional gateway constructed by dragon magic and human technology working together. The portal opened in a secure facility beneath the United Nations building, where representatives from every major government waited nervously. Marcus stepped through the shimmering barrier wearing robes that marked his status as an ambassador, followed by his team of 5 dragonborn companions. The humans on the other side took an involuntary step back as the portal closed with a sound like distant thunder. Greetings, Marcus said in perfect English, though he could have spoken in any of the dozen languages he had learned during his training. I am Marcus Chen, first ambassador of the Dragon Realm. We come in peace, seeking understanding between our peoples. Secretary General Elena Vasquez stepped forward, her diplomatic training helping her maintain composure, despite the surreal nature of the situation. Welcome back to Earth, Ambassador Chen. The United Nations is honored to host this historic meeting. Dr. Elizabeth Reeves was also present, and she smiled warmly when she saw Marcus. You look different, she observed. More centered. Marcus nodded to her gratefully. I've learned a lot about myself and my heritage, Dr. Reeves. Your kindness during my awakening meant more than you know. The formal meeting took place in the General Assembly Hall, which had been modified with special heat-resistant materials and magical dampening fields to prevent accidents. Representatives from 193 nations filled the seats, while cameras broadcast the proceedings to an estimated 4 billion viewers worldwide. "Before we begin formal negotiations," Marcus said, standing at the podium where world leaders had spoken for decades, "I want to address the fears and questions that I know are in all your minds." He gestured, and Kai stepped forward. With careful control, Kai allowed flames to dance around his hands while maintaining his human appearance. The audience gasped but didn't panic. They had been prepared for this demonstration. "We are not monsters," Marcus continued. "We are not conquerors or invaders. Dragonborn like myself are humans who carry ancient genetic markers that allow us to channel magical energies. We are your sons and daughters, your neighbors and friends who have simply awakened to abilities that exist within human potential." President Sarah Mitchell of the United States leaned forward in her seat. "Mr. Chen, our scientists have analyzed the footage from your emergence. The energy readings suggest capabilities far beyond conventional weapons. How can we be certain of your peaceful intentions?" "Because we've been living among you for centuries without revealing ourselves," Zara spoke up. "If we wanted to conquer or harm humanity, we could have acted long ago. Instead, we've been protecting you." "Protecting us from what?" asked Chancellor Hans Müller from Germany. Marcus exchanged a glance with his team. This was the moment they had debated extensively. How much truth could humanity handle? "From threats you don't yet know exist," Marcus said carefully. "Earth is not alone in the universe. There are hostile forces that view your world as a resource to be harvested. Dragons and Dragonborn have been quietly defending this realm for millennia." The assembly erupted in whispers and exclamations. Several representatives looked skeptical, while others appeared terrified. "You're talking about alien invasion?" President Chen Wei of China asked bluntly. "Among other things," Marcus confirmed. "Interdimensional parasites, rogue magical entities, cosmic phenomena that could sterilize your planet. The barriers between worlds are weakening, and soon these threats will become impossible to hide." Prime Minister James Crawford of the United Kingdom stood up. "This is all rather convenient, isn't it? Mysterious threats that only you can protect us from. It sounds like a protection racket." Marcus felt his dragon nature stir at the insult, but he controlled it carefully. "I understand your skepticism. Let me show you something." He gestured to Zara, who activated a crystalline device that projected a three-dimensional hologram above the assembly floor. The image showed Earth from space, but with additional layers visible, energy patterns, dimensional distortions, and dark spots where reality itself seemed corrupted. "This is how your world appears to those with magical sight," Marcus explained. "The dark areas are incursions from hostile dimensions. Each one represents a threat that would require your military to respond with nuclear weapons to have any hope of containing." The hologram zoomed in on specific locations, showing places where Dragonborn teams had recently intervened to prevent catastrophes. A dimensional rift over the Pacific Ocean, sealed just last month. An energy vampire feeding on a major city's power grid destroyed 3 weeks ago. A hive of interdimensional locusts that would have consumed all plant life in South America, eliminated just days before Marcus's return. "These incidents occur weekly," Kai added. "Your government's unexplained phenomena departments have files on thousands of such events, though they've never understood the true nature of what they were investigating." Secretary General Vasquez looked pale. "Are you saying we've been living on the edge of apocalypse without knowing it?" "Multiple apocalypses," Marcus confirmed. "The only reason humanity has survived to develop its current civilization is because dragons and Dragonborn have been fighting these battles in secret." "Then why reveal yourselves now?" asked President Mitchell. Marcus took a deep breath. "Because the threats are escalating beyond our ability to handle them alone. We need humanity's technological capabilities, your scientific innovation, your sheer determination and adaptability. In return, we offer our magical knowledge, our combat experience, and our understanding of multidimensional physics." "What kind of partnership are you proposing?" Chancellor Muller inquired. Zara stepped forward with another device, this one projecting images of joint human-dragon facilities from the sanctum. "Shared research bases where your scientists work alongside our magical practitioners. Training programs to awaken more Dragonborn among your population. Combined military units for defending against supernatural threats. Cultural exchange programs to build understanding between our peoples. And governance? asked President Chenwei. Who would oversee such cooperation? A joint council, Marcus replied. Equal representation from both species, with Dragonborn serving as mediators when necessary. No nation or dragon clan would have dominance over the others. President Mitchell stood again. This is all theoretical until we see proof of these threats you claim to fight. How do we know you're not simply trying to make yourselves indispensable? Marcus nodded to his team. This was the moment they had hoped to avoid but knew was inevitable. Because, Marcus said solemnly, one of these threats is approaching Earth right now. Our detection systems indicate a void fleet will breach your reality in approximately 72 hours. The assembly fell silent. The weight of his words settled over the room like a lead blanket. What is a void fleet? Secretary General Vasquez asked quietly. Entities from a dimension where matter and energy are consumed for fuel, Marcus explained. They travel between realities, stripping entire planets of all life and resources. A single void ship can devastate a continent. A full fleet, he paused. Let's just say that humanity's nuclear arsenal would be like throwing rocks at a hurricane. And you can stop them? President Crawford asked, his earlier skepticism replaced by grave concern. Together we might have a chance, Marcus said. Dragons can engage them in magical combat, while human technology can track their movements and exploit their weaknesses. But we need to work together starting now. The vote was taken within hours. 193 nations unanimously agreed to form an emergency alliance with the Dragon Realm. As Marcus watched the representatives sign the historical documents, he felt the weight of both worlds on his shoulders. Dr. Reeves approached him during a break in the proceedings. Are you ready for this responsibility? Marcus looked out through the bulletproof windows at New York City, where millions of people went about their daily lives unaware that their world was about to change forever. I have to be, he said simply. There's no other choice. 3 days later, as the first void ships tore through reality above the Pacific Ocean, Marcus Chen stood on the deck of a human aircraft carrier surrounded by dragons, ready to fight for both his worlds. The void fleet materialized above the Pacific like tears in reality itself. 12 massive ships, each the size of a city, descended through dimensional rifts that made the sky bleed darkness. Where they passed, the very air seemed to die, becoming cold and lifeless. Marcus stood on the command deck of the USS Enterprise, now retrofitted with dragon-forged magical amplifiers and reality stabilizers. Around the massive carrier, a combined human-dragon armada had assembled in just 3 days, a testament to what both species could accomplish when working together. Visual contact confirmed, reported Admiral Sarah Torres, the human military liaison. Energy readings are off the charts. These things are bigger than we anticipated. Through the tactical display, Marcus watched as Dragon Scouts circled the void ships, their magical senses probing for weaknesses. Valdris the Voidwalker was among them, his black scales almost invisible against the corrupted sky. Their shields are adaptive, Valdris reported through the telepathic network that connected all Dragonborn. Conventional weapons will be ineffective until we disrupt their reality anchors. Dr. Reeves, now serving as the chief science officer for the joint operation, studied her instruments with fascination and terror. The dimensional distortion is expanding. If we don't stop them soon, they'll tear a permanent hole between our realities. Marcus felt the familiar fire in his chest, but now it was joined by something else, the hopes and fears of 2 entire species. He activated his ambassador pendant, opening a communication channel to both the human fleet and the dragon forces. All units, this is Marcus Chen. Today we face an enemy that sees us only as fuel for their endless hunger, but they've made one critical mistake. They've united humanity and dragonkind for the first time in 1,000 years. From the void ships, smaller craft began emerging like deadly insects. Each one radiated the same reality-warping energy as their motherships, turning the air around them into a gray wasteland where nothing could survive. Dragonborn teams, begin the coordinated assault, Marcus commanded. Human forces target the reality anchors as soon as we expose them. Marcus leaped from the carrier's deck, his partial transformation allowing him to sprout wings and fly alongside the true dragons. Around him, his fellow Dragonborn did the same, creating a formation that would have been impossible just weeks earlier. The first wave of void fighters met them halfway between the fleet and the ships. The battle was unlike anything in human military history. dragons breathing cosmic fire that could burn through dimensional barriers. While Dragonborn wielded both magic and advanced technology simultaneously, Marcus found himself fighting alongside Kai and Zara, their teamwork perfected through months of training. Together they carved through the Void Fighters, but for every enemy they destroyed, two more seemed to take its place. "There are too many of them," Zara called out as she incinerated a Void Fighter with controlled dragon fire. "Then we go directly to the source," Marcus replied, pointing toward the largest Void ship. "If we can destroy their command vessel, the others might retreat." But as they approached the massive ship, its true horror became apparent. The Void ship wasn't just a vehicle, it was a living entity, its hull made from the compressed matter of devoured worlds. Billions of souls were trapped within its structure, their life force powering its reality-devouring capabilities. "Dear gods," Kai whispered through the telepathic link. "It's an entire civilization converted into a weapon." The implications hit Marcus like a physical blow. These weren't just invaders. They were the ultimate recyclers, turning entire species into tools for further conquest. If Earth fell, every human and dragon would become part of their fleet. "All forces focus fire on the command ship's central core," Admiral Torres ordered through the communication network. Human railguns and dragon fire coordinated strike. The combined assault was magnificent and terrible. Human electromagnetic weapons fired shells at near-light speed while dragons unleashed concentrated magical energy that could crack mountains. For a moment it seemed like they might actually hurt the massive ship. Then the Void ship retaliated. A wave of pure entropy swept across the battlefield, aging everything it touched by centuries and seconds. Several human ships simply crumbled to dust, their crews dying of old age before they could even scream. 3 dragons fell from the sky, their ancient bodies finally succumbing to time itself. "Reality bombs incoming," Dr. Reeves reported with barely controlled panic. "They're going to try to age our entire planet into dust." Marcus felt desperation rising in his chest, but then he remembered something from his training. The prophecies Elder Nira had mentioned, words about a child of 2 worlds who would find a way forward that neither species could imagine alone. "All Dragonborn, link with me now," Marcus commanded. "Pool our energy for a single massive strike." "Marcus, that's suicide," Zara protested. "The energy required would burn us out completely." "Maybe," Marcus replied, extending his consciousness toward every Dragonborn in the battle. "But I've got an idea that might just be crazy enough to work." As the link formed, Marcus felt the combined power of 50 Dragonborn flowing through him. But instead of directing it outward as a weapon, he turned it inward, using it to amplify his unique nature as a bridge between worlds. "Dr. Reeves, I need you to activate every communication system on the planet. Broadcast on every frequency. Radio, television, internet, everything." "Marcus, what are you doing?" Admiral Torres demanded. "Something that's never been tried before," Marcus replied, his voice now carrying across every communication device on Earth. "I'm going to show the Void Fleet something they've never encountered." Through the global broadcast network, Marcus spoke directly to every human being on the planet, people of Earth. "This is Marcus Chen. Right now, above the Pacific Ocean, our world is under attack by entities that want to consume everything we are and turn us into weapons against other worlds. But we're not facing this alone." As he spoke, Marcus used his Dragonborn abilities to transmit not just words, but emotions, images, and understanding directly into the minds of everyone listening. For the first time in human history, every person on Earth could see through Dragonborn senses, could feel the magical currents that flowed through all life. "I want you to think about everything that makes humanity great," Marcus continued. "Your creativity, your determination, your capacity for love and sacrifice. Dragons, I want you to remember why you chose to protect this world despite all the pain humans have caused you." The response was immediate and overwhelming. 7 billion human minds linked for a single moment through dragon magic, focused their collective will on survival and cooperation. The combined psychic energy was unlike anything the universe had ever seen. The Void ships, adapted to consuming matter and energy, had no defense against pure willpower and hope. As the wave of human determination hit them, their reality-warping shields began to fail. The trapped souls within their hulls started to break free, rejecting their imprisonment. "Now," Marcus shouted, All forces, everything you have." The final assault was perfect coordination between two species that had barely known each other a week before. Human weapons struck with precise timing, while dragonfire burned with the fury of 1,000 years of protection. But most importantly, the combined will of humanity and dragonkind rejected the very concept of the Void Fleet's existence. One by one, the Void ships destabilized and collapsed into themselves, the stolen matter returning to the cosmic cycle while the freed souls found peace at last. The dimensional rifts sealed, leaving only clear blue sky where moments before reality itself had been under assault. As Marcus landed back on the carrier deck, exhausted but triumphant, he was surrounded by humans and dragons embracing each other like family. Admiral Torres was crying with relief while Valdris nuzzled Dr. Reeves with surprising gentleness. "You did it," Kai said, clapping Marcus on the back. "You actually created a telepathic link between every human on Earth." "We all did it," Marcus corrected, looking around at the mixed crews of humans and Dragonborn working together to tend the wounded and assess damage. And this is just the beginning. 6 months later, Marcus stood in the same chemistry classroom where his journey had begun. But everything was different now. Mrs. Patterson had been replaced by Professor Elena Vasquez, a Dragonborn instructor who taught advanced magical theory alongside traditional science. Half the students were human, half were newly awakened Dragonborn from around the world. Sarah Williams raised her hand with a question about dimensional physics, her own Dragonborn abilities having manifested just last month. Through the windows, dragons and human aircraft shared the sky in peaceful coexistence. "Remember," Marcus told his class, "magic and science aren't opposites. They're two different ways of understanding the same universe. The future belongs to those who can master both." As the bell rang and students filed out chattering excitedly about their homework assignments, Marcus smiled. He had found his place at last, not fully human, not fully dragon, but something entirely new. A bridge between worlds, and a symbol of possibilities that neither species could have imagined alone. The fire in his chest pulsed warmly, no longer a source of confusion but a reminder that the greatest magic of all was the ability